I don't know who you sent this to. Maybe someone you trusted. Maybe someone like me. But she came anyway. She came last night, and she doesn't look the same anymore. She's different now. Her eyes don't match. Her dress is soaked, and when I picked her up, I heard her breathing. You didn't mention that in your message, but maybe you didn't get the chance. I listened to your recording, all of it, and now I can't unhear her. So I'm adding this at the start. Maybe someone else will hear it. Maybe it'll stop here. Maybe, maybe not. If you're listening to this, it means you found her, or maybe she found you.
This all started about a year ago, in Pennsylvania. I was visiting a town called Lebanon, quiet place. I went for a weekend getaway, hiking, coffee shops, antique markets. It was supposed to be peaceful. And then I saw her, a little tent at the edge of the flea market, the kind that smells like rain-soaked cardboard and gasoline, mismatched furniture, broken clocks, things that shouldn't be for sale. And in the back, in this box, shoved beneath a rusted mirror, there she was. The tag said, "Property of Diana S. Do not sell." But she was just sitting there, alone. She didn't look scary. Not then. Just old. A little burnt on one side, pale face, glass eyes, ribbons in her hair. Her skin, porcelain, cracked like dried riverbed. And still, I remember thinking, she was looking at me. Not like a toy, like a person. I should have walked away. I know that now. But the man at the booth saw me staring. He didn't even charge me, just handed her over with this weird little smile and said, "She always comes back. Might as well go home with you now." I laughed. I laughed like it was a joke. But it wasn't. This is how it started. Lebanon isn't the kind of place that shows up in guidebooks. It's quiet, off the highway, tucked somewhere between forgotten hills and rusted mailboxes. I went for the weekend, just to breathe, clear my head, get away from everything. Saturday morning, I found a flea market behind an old church. Rows of folding tables baked under the sun, people selling boxes of buttons, jars of marbles, used shoes, melted candles, faded toys. There's something oddly comforting about other people's junk. It's honest. No one pretends anything is new. I wandered for a while, bought a chipped mug, a denim jacket with a missing sleeve, a cassette tape I knew I'd never play. And then, there was this tent. I swear it hadn't been there before. Off to the side, half hidden between a food truck and a pile of broken chairs. Its canvas was sun-bleached, leaning, like it hadn't been touched in years. But I walked in anyway. Inside it was darker than it should have been, colder too. The air smelled like mothballs and old wood. The shelves were crowded with things that didn't belong together, cracked mirrors, yellowed postcards, ceramic limbs from shattered dolls. And then I saw it. In the far corner, beneath a stack of moldy board games and a taxidermy raccoon missing one eye, there was a box, faded cardboard, taped shut, but someone had written on it in black marker, "Property of Diana S. Do not sell." I don't know why I opened it. Maybe because everything else in that tent felt forgotten. But this felt remembered. The box gave a soft creak when I pulled the lid back. Inside, lying on a piece of folded velvet, was a doll. No, not quite a doll. Not really. She was small, maybe 10 inches tall. Fluffy body, grayish fur with a slight sheen, almost metallic in places. Her head was oversized, with pointy elf-like ears and a grin full of tiny, sharp teeth. 9, to be exact. They looked painted on, but somehow real. Her eyes were enormous, black irises rimmed with pale yellow like something nocturnal. And even though I knew it was impossible, I felt like she saw me. Her smile wasn't friendly. It wasn't evil either. It was knowing, like she was waiting. One of her ears was slightly scorched at the tip. The fur had melted into a hard curl. The tag around her neck was burned at the edges but still readable. Labubu, stitched in gold thread. There was a strange weight to her, heavier than she looked. Her face was cool to the touch, like vinyl left out in winter. I didn't realize how long I'd been standing there, just staring, until someone behind me cleared their throat. It was the vendor, an older man, thin, stooped, in a faded army jacket. He didn't ask if I wanted to buy her. He didn't even smile. "She always comes back," he said. "You know that?" I shook my head. I didn't know what he meant. I asked him how much. He looked at me for a moment, then without blinking said, "No charge." "She's yours." I started to say something, to protest, to offer at least a few dollars, but he waved me off. "Don't matter," he mumbled, already turning away. "She never stays gone for long." I stood there with the box in my hands, not sure what had just happened. Why did I take her? Why didn't I leave her there? I don't know, but I carried her out into the sun, and from that moment, I swear, it felt like the world got just a little quieter. The first time she moved, I thought it was me. I'd left her on the shelf in the living room, right between the books and a dusty plant that hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. But when I came home from work, she was on the floor, face down, arms spread, like she'd fallen, or jumped. I picked her up, checked the shelf. It wasn't unstable. Nothing else had fallen. Still, I told myself it was gravity. The cat. Maybe I knocked her somehow. Something normal. The second time, she was in the hallway. Not near the shelf. Not even near the living room. Just sitting there. Legs stretched out in front of her, facing the bathroom door. And this time, I was sure I hadn't touched her. That night, I woke to a sound. A sharp beep. One of those piercing, artificial screams that makes your stomach knot before your brain catches up. The fire alarm. I jumped up, heart pounding, looking for smoke. There was none. No fire. Nothing burning. Nothing even warm. The alarm stopped after a few seconds. Silence fell. Too fast. Too clean. I walked to the hallway. She was gone from the floor. I found her back on the shelf, staring straight at me. The next morning, I found fingerprints on the mirror. In the bathroom. Smudged, small, low to the surface, like a child had pressed their palms against it from below. I don't have children. I don't have neighbors with kids. I wiped them off. That night, I dreamed. There was a boy, maybe 6 or 7, messy hair, gray pajamas. His eyes were blurred, like someone had smudged his face with a thumb. He didn't look at me. He looked past me and said quietly, "You promised you'd never leave her." Then the room behind him started to burn. And I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. I told Sam the next day, my best friend, my most rational friend. She laughed, then she frowned. "You're not sleeping enough, that's all. Stress hallucinations. My cousin had something like that when he quit caffeine." But when I mentioned the boy's words, she got quiet. Later that week, I caught her staring at the doll. "You sure you brought this thing home?" she asked. I blinked. "What do you mean?" I don't remember seeing it when you unpacked. Maybe it was already here." That stuck with me. Already here. Like I hadn't found her. Like she'd been waiting. And the more I thought about it, the more it felt true. I couldn't stop thinking about the dream, the boy, the fire, his voice. "You promised you'd never leave her." I tried to brush it off. I told myself it was just a dream, a trick of memory, something stitched together by my brain from too many late nights and a weird doll. But something kept pushing at me. A name, a tag, Diana S. It was written on the box I found her in, property of Diana S. or do not sell. So I started digging. At first nothing came up. Too many results, too many Dianas. But when I narrowed it by location, Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and added the word fire, something came up. A headline from a 1997 local news article. Tragedy in Quiet Town, Sloan home destroyed by fire. Sloan, not Diana S., but it felt close. I clicked. The article was short. A fire had destroyed a house on the edge of town. The mother, Evelyn Sloan, died inside. Firefighters said the blaze spread too fast. The source was never identified. Electrical, maybe. No signs of foul play. The child, Diana, was listed as missing. Not dead, missing. She was 7 years old. There were no follow-ups, no leads, no photos of her, just the burned house. And in one shot, in the background, something strange, a doll, small. Standing near the edge of the sidewalk, perfectly upright, her fur was lighter in the photo, but the shape, the ears, the wide eyes, the grin, unmistakable. It was Labubu. She hadn't changed. I kept scrolling, found a community forum, local memories. Someone had posted a blurry scan of an old newspaper clipping, probably from a scrapbook. Handwritten above the article in black marker were 5 words. Burnt everything but the doll. I stared at that sentence for a long time. The article itself had more detail. Neighbors reported hearing a child crying. But when firefighters arrived, the house was fully engulfed. They couldn't find the source of the voice. Some claimed it came from under the floorboards. Others said it echoed from inside the walls. They found the mother's body in the upstairs hallway. No trace of Diana. But the doll, she was found on the curb. Untouched. I printed the article, highlighted the photo. I pinned it to my wall next to the box she came in. It wasn't just a coincidence. I don't know how she survived the fire. Dolls don't walk out of burning houses. They melt. They burn. They stay behind. But she didn't. She left. And somehow, she found me. I started talking to her, not like full conversations. Not at first. Just little things. Offhand remarks. Whispered thoughts when the apartment felt too quiet. You were alone, weren't you? Sometimes I'd say it while passing her on the shelf. Sometimes just in my head. It didn't feel crazy. It felt comforting. I kept her in the living room, on the table near the window. I'd arranged her so she could look out, as if she were waiting for something or someone. Her ears caught the morning light in a strange way, almost translucent. I started noticing that I'd check on her before bed, just to make sure she was there, facing the right way, upright. Once I found her with her head turned, not all the way, just slightly, like she'd shifted to listen. I didn't feel scared. I felt responsible. I started sleeping with the bedroom door open. That's when the dreams came back. Not the boy this time, something vaguer, softer, a presence, a voice, whispering, not threatening, just sad. Don't leave again. It felt like it came from beside the bed, like someone was crouched low, just out of sight. I woke one night and my hand was resting on the blanket, palm up, and I swear to God, I swear, I felt someone holding it, small fingers, light grip, warm. I didn't pull away. I closed my eyes and stayed still. In the morning, there was nothing. The blanket was undisturbed, no sign of anyone, but the feeling lingered, a quiet pressure where my hand had been touched. I sat with her after that, more often, while drinking tea, while scrolling my phone, while doing nothing. She never moved, not when I was looking, but the air around her was heavier now, not in a bad way, just full, like she was filling the space. I found myself humming when I was near her, the kind of melody you don't recognize, just rises up from nowhere. She made the silence feel less lonely. That's the thing I keep going back to. It didn't feel wrong. It felt like company. And maybe that's why I didn't try to stop it. Maybe that's why I didn't notice how far it had already gone. I tried to get rid of her. I waited until night. I don't know why. Maybe so no one would see. Maybe because it felt like a betrayal. I wrapped her in a blanket, gently, like you would a baby. I didn't want to look at her face. Not while I was doing it. I took her to the back of the property. There's a small fire pit there, left over from the last tenant, half buried under wet leaves. I lit the fire, watched it catch. The flames curled up in soft orange, too weak at first, then stronger, hungry. I set her on top. For a second it worked. Her fur began to smoke. Her ears darkened. The smile seemed to peel back into shadow. And then the fire died, not like it burned out. It stopped, just like that. The wood still dry, the matchbox full, the air still. But the flame was gone, as if it had never existed. She sat in the ash, untouched. I didn't tell anyone at first. I just brought her inside and left her by the door. Next morning, she was back on the table. I hadn't moved her. That same afternoon, I took her to a church downtown. Not my church. A place I'd never been. I left her on a bench outside, walked away fast, heart racing. I didn't sleep that night, kept waiting for her. By noon the next day, there she was, sitting on my pillow. That's when I told Sam. She didn't laugh this time. She just said, "It happened to me too." I stared at her. I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. When she was a kid, she said, she got a bear from a yard sale, stuffed, one eye missing. Had this crooked little bow tie, cute at first, then she started hearing whispers, dreams, cold spots in her room. Her parents thought she was making it up, but one night she threw the bear away, left it in the park trash can. Next morning, it was in her closet. It didn't stop until they moved, 3 states away. And even then, she said, sometimes she still thinks she hears it, humming. She looked at Labubu. "It's not the object," she said. "It's the promise. Once you care, it knows. It remembers." And in that moment, I knew. It wasn't just Diana. It wasn't just me. It could be anything. It changes shape. It waits. And if you let it in, even for a second, it stays. I stopped going out. At first it was small things, skipping the store, ignoring texts, forgetting appointments. Then it was everything. I told myself I needed rest, that I was processing things, that staying in was safer, smarter, calmer. But really, I didn't want to leave her alone. She didn't say it, not out loud, but the thought was always there, whispering. She waited for you. She stayed. She's better than you. It didn't sound angry. That's what scared me. It sounded patient, sweet, like someone reminding you of a promise you made long ago. The apartment started to change. I noticed it first in the corners. Gray dust that wouldn't sweep away. Not like regular dust. Thicker, darker. It smelled faintly of smoke. Then the walls. Little streaks, like soot, rising from a blown-out candle. At first, I thought it was shadows, tricks of light. But the marks grew, spread. Over time, they thickened, like the paint itself was remembering something black. One night, I touched the wall, just to be sure. and my fingers came away stained. I cleaned them, washed my hands twice, but the smell stayed. The clocks stopped working. All of them. The kitchen clock, my phone, my watch, they'd freeze, glitch, restart, then settle again on one time. 3:17. Always 3:17. I looked it up. Checked the old article about the Sloan fire. The call came in at 3:17 a.m. That's when the house caught. That's when Diana disappeared. That's when the doll was found on the curb, waiting. After that, I stopped checking the time. What was the point? The dreams got worse. Sometimes they weren't dreams. I'd close my eyes and see the apartment as it used to be, clean, bright, mine, then blink, and it was scorched, burnt around the edges, ceiling black, carpet melted, walls breathing, and she was always there, smiling. Her smile started to change too, not bigger, not cruel, just deeper, like she knew more now, like she didn't need to pretend anymore. Sometimes I'd hear her voice when I wasn't asleep, not in words, just tones, rising and falling, almost like a lullaby. I hummed with her once. I didn't mean to. It slipped out, from my throat, from somewhere old. She was so quiet, but everything else was so loud. The silence when she wasn't near was unbearable, so I stayed close. I didn't leave, and the worst part is, I didn't want to. I found the recording by accident. I was digging through public archives, trying to find anything at all about the fire in 1997. The Sloan case had been all but buried. No one local wanted to talk about it. The forums were silent now, threads deleted, users gone, but one file was still accessible, a digitized cassette, labeled Dispatch Channel 3, Fire on a 0471, 0317 a.m., Sloan Residence. I clicked play. It was static at first, then the sound of fire, real fire, cracking, hissing, devouring, voices, male, out of breath, radio cuts in and out. We have entry and back hallways gone, can't locate. Copy, interior compromised. Then a scream. Not close, not distant, not adult, a child. It cut through everything, shrill, panicked, rising, but then something happened. The scream didn't stop. It shifted, still high-pitched, but longer, older, like someone stretching it out into something else. And then a voice, garbled, almost human. She promised. The tape ends there. I listened to it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop, sat in silence. It wasn't just Diana. It wasn't just one fire. It wasn't just one doll. It's something else, something that uses them, moves through them. It hides inside what we love, what we hold, what we protect. And when we leave it behind, it waits. I packed a bag that night, didn't leave a note, didn't turn off the lights. I just locked the door and walked away. I got as far as the bus station. Then I saw it, a package. Sitting on the bench beside me, brown paper, no label, no return address. My name was written in red marker. I didn't open it right away, I already knew, but I couldn't help myself. I untied the string. Inside, the same doll, perfectly still, just as I'd left her, clean, waiting, and on top of her chest, folded like a secret, was a piece of torn notebook paper in neat, rounded handwriting. You said you'd stay, so I waited. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there. And in the silence, I swear I heard her breathing, soft, happy, because I came back. If you're hearing this, don't open the box. Don't touch it. Don't even look at it too long. And whatever you do, please don't say her name. That's how she knows. That's how she finds you. I thought I could handle it. I thought if I understood her, maybe I could fix it. Free her, free myself, but it was never about that. She doesn't want freedom. She wants to be kept. She wants to be needed. And when you try to leave, she doesn't get angry. She just waits. She knows you'll come back, or someone else will. I think she was never just a spirit, never just a child. She's a pattern, a memory, a hunger, something that learned how to wear skin made of fabric and fur and plastic smiles, something that crawls into your loneliness and says, you don't have to be alone anymore. And that sounds so good when you're tired. That sounds like love when you've forgotten what love feels like, but it isn't. It's possession, not in the demon way, not spinning heads and levitating beds. No, worse, it's the slow kind. The kind that makes you forget who you were before she came, makes you think she's yours, when really you're hers. So if you found this recording, if you're holding something that looks like a toy, soft, small, strange, with a smile just a little too wide and eyes that don't blink, put it down. Walk away. Don't say it. Don't say her name. Because once you do, now I have two.